So the next part. So suppose you were allowed to contribute $100 each month in addition to your employer's contribution. What will be the size of your nest egg at age 65? Compare this with your answer to part A. Interesting. So again, what's going on here? We're contributing an extra $100, right? So let's see. So there's actually two ways of doing this, but what way makes sense? Contribute an additional $100 a month. Yeah, you could add that to the 300. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the best way. Theoretically, you could just throw in the 100 a month and see how much that would grow to, and that would be the extra amount, if that makes sense. So there's two ways. Extra amount, if that makes sense. So there's two ways. You can either chuck $100 into this account per month for 40 years, or you can chuck in 400. Right. So I think, like you said, I think chucking in the 400 is probably the most straightforward way of thinking about this. So let's do that. So we basically do the exact same thing as we just did, only this time we chuck in 400 instead of 300. All right. So you could even just bring up your calculator and just do the exact same thing. So it's the same formula, only it's going to be 400 times the 1.005 to the power of 480 minus 1 all over 0.005, right? And I'm going to, oh, that's divided by, looks like a 1. I'm going to take my previous entry, I'm going to use my arrows, I'm going to go up here, and I'll press enter on that line. So that just press enter. And then I'm going to go across with my arrows and change that 3 to a 4 and then press enter. You know? So as Bill Gates says, I like lazy employees because they always find a more efficient way to get the job done. Now, there you go. So 700 something is what I got. So if you all want to press pause and do it your own way, but basically you've got to do that formula somehow with a 400 instead of a 300. But I hope you can all work on that. But we should be getting 796,596.29. That would be the exact answer to the nearest cent, right? Yeah. I mean, good question. The question is like, what if we got something like this on a test? Well, on a test, I'd probably ask you to round something like this to the nearest 100,000 because it makes sense. But as we go, I do want you guys to be thinking, what's the common sense answer here? Like, what makes sense? How does this seem in real life? So I want the brains constantly trying to think about these things in real life. But yeah, this is the exact answer to the nearest cent. How does that compare, it says? How does that compare to, compare this with your answer to part A, right? So comparing it, well, let's subtract, right? So I'm going to do the common sense thing. I'm going to round that to the nearest 100,000. So to the nearest 100,000, that becomes what? 800,000. Interesting. So compare this with this. By putting in the extra $100 a month, what happened? Right. We got so I'll just say approximately. I'm going to do this. 200K. You ever see that? K is like shorthand for 1,000. 200K, right? Extra. We've got approximately 200K extra in retirement by saving an extra, in retirement. By saving $100 extra per month, right? Rule of thumb, by the way, for retirement. The rule of thumb, roughly, is to save, you want to be saving 15% of your income for retirement. Just so you can keep up your same standard of living in retirement. That's in addition to Social Security and all that. Now, everyone has a different situation because you might have like a public pension or whatever, and so feel free to, always good to meet with a financial advisor, get some details, or you can even chat with me and I could give you some tips or give you some estimations on what you're looking at. But yeah, good.